You're not gonna, like, fucking Me Too me, are you?
What?
You're not gonna, like, make a Twitter post about how I abused you or something after this, are you?
From being considered one of the bigger streamers on Twitch with an average view count of 5,000 people, to being cancelled into oblivion for repeatedly and systematically assaulting and girls, threatening to kill his dog if a 13-year-old girl doesn't respond to his calls, obsessively spam minors with DMs like these. In today's video, we'll explore the rise and fall of Josh Thompson, and how his depraved incel persona would ultimately turn out to be 100% real.
So initially people think everything is fully serious. And then for some reason people end up thinking that this is all some big meta joke and it's ironic and that I'm actually happily married for 5 years and have a dog and I'm just pretending to be a lonely, angry virgin on the internet. And then as time goes on, they realize that it actually all was serious and nothing was a joke and that I need serious help. I think most of you guys, like, here right now, enjoy the ride. That's all I gotta say. Enjoy the ride.
But first, a little backstory. As everyone knows, the Me Too movement took the world by storm back in 2017 and affected multiple different industries across the entire globe, but the film industry is what arguably garnered the most attention, with the disgraced movie mogul Harvey Weinstein potentially being seen as the face of the movement.
I would like to thank Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey and Bob Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein.
Thank you, Harvey Weinstein.
Especially Harvey.
And Harvey and Bob Weinstein.
Over the next couple of years, the movement spurred major legislative changes in various countries across the world, aimed at addressing sexual harassment in the workplace, as well as encouraged many organizations to adopt new policies and guidelines to prevent sexual misconduct and promote equality. However, one industry remained largely unaffected by the movement and essentially remained as it always had been, an extremely male-dominated industry in a completely unfiltered environment, the streaming and gaming industry. You see, the multi-billion-dollar streaming industry that it's become wasn't always the giant that it is today. In fact, it didn't even exist prior to 2007, when Twitch's predecessor, Justin TV, launched, which is often considered the true beginning of modern live streaming. Justin TV launched in 2007 as a platform where anyone could live stream themselves, and over time, one category on Justin TV began to massively outperform everything else, and is the reason the popular site Twitch TV exists today, the gaming streams. People would broadcast their gameplay live, often with a webcam and mic, and interact with their audience, their viewers, through a chat. Eventually, in 2011, the founders of Justin TV decided to spin off the gaming section into its own dedicated platform called Twitch TV. Twitch focused exclusively on video game live streaming, which quickly grew much bigger than the original Justin TV. Given Twitch immediate success, the original Justin TV site was shut down in 2014 to instead fully focus on Twitch. Back in those early days, roughly from its launch in 2011 throughout the mid-2010s, the site was extremely unfiltered and unregulated. There wasn't any community guidelines in place, and racist and homophobic slurs as well as misogynistic comments were frequently said by both streamers and viewers.
Yo, man, what the fuck, man? Let's smoke some weed instead, bro. Let's get high. Let's get high, boys! Officer, this is not what it looks like.
Get on the ground!
That's a classic. That's an American cop, alright?
It was a rough environment if you weren't used to early internet culture, and people today would probably describe it as extremely toxic.
I'm gonna complete the whole eye tracking challenge without looking at a single butt or a single boob. We can look at people for who they are. Let's go! Fuck!
Over time, growing awareness of problematic language, and as the site's popularity continued to increase, Twitch introduced community guidelines, or TOS, in 2016. Creators were now forced to obey the community guidelines, or risk having their channel terminated forever. And today, Twitch has one of the strictest moderation policies regarding hate speech of any streaming platform. And one streamer who emerged from that early uncensored age of streaming is MethodJosh. Josh Thompson, who went by his alias MethodJosh online, had an extremely extremely rare, super fast rise to fame as a streamer back in 2018. Josh primarily played the popular game World of Warcraft, where he was among the top players in the world. Viewers were drawn in by the fact that he was a member of Method, the best esports organization at the time, and the fact that he was one of the top players in the world, combined with the fact that he was a funny character, usually joking about his own self-depravity and lack of female attention.
Are you doing anything next weekend?
What?
Are you doing anything next weekend?
Not with you.
Ooh.
Josh managed to build himself a cult-like following during a time when Twitch itself were expanding rapidly. By 2019, he had amassed approximately 180,000 followers and was averaging around 5K concurrent viewers every stream. At the time in the streaming industry, portraying an exaggerated, edgy version of yourself, like having a streaming persona, was pretty common, and viewers presumed Josh was doing just that.
You look like you have leukemia? Well, okay. It would be extraordinarily unethical to fake something like that. But I think some girls might f you out of pity. I'm trying to move past the incel thing. I realized the other day that, like, the incel thing is what's holding me back. Because girls believe, right? They're like, oh, he's pathetic and angry and hates women. So they're never gonna sleep with me, so I'm never gonna escape, right? Sometimes you gotta fake it to make it.
Clips like these are what partly contributed to his success as a streamer. People found it funny, it was entertainment, until it wasn't.
That's probably a permaban from Twitch. Definitely a permaban. That's just folders for like IT stuff, whatever. That's a fucking permaban from Twitch and probably a prison sentence. That's just kind of creepy.
Complete
Permaban. Pictures of my dogs. Permaban. Well, probably not. Probably lose a few friends. Open when sad. Yeah, this is just for just like so I can imagine what I'd look like with a. That's what that is. Anyway.
What neither Josh nor his viewers knew at this time was that a ball of extremely severe allegations were already set in motion. In June 2020, several women came forward with allegations of sexual abuse by the hands of another Twitch streamer called Say No to Rage, which in turn would set off a huge snowball effect.
There is no excuse for my behavior. There is no way to gloss over it. And the things that I did were unacceptable.
Hundreds of women began speaking up, accusing multiple streamers, YouTubers, gaming and esports personalities, as well as gaming industry personnel, of sexual abuse and even rape. And we're obviously not going to go through everyone, that would take the entire day, but here's a short snippet so you get the idea.
Omid Dariani, CEO OP Group, sexual abuse. Satellizer Games, streamer Badger, academic sexual Stefan, CEO Method, sexual abuse.
Yeah, you get the idea. And on that list is of course MethodJosh, and specifically his interaction with this girl Louise, more so known as her online alias Poopernoodle. And what Louise describes in her tweet is nothing short of evil. Josh describes how he fantasized about committing mass genocide when asked what the weirdest thing he had ever masturbated to was. He regularly begged her to sleep with him, and at one point apparently masturbated while on a phone call with her. When Louise explained that she just wanted to be friends, he called her a it. Despite this, Louise apparently brushed off this behavior and agreed to spend a night in his apartment to stream together. As an up-and-coming streamer, she saw the opportunity to collaborate with Josh, a well-established figure in the industry, as a way to advance her career. But once there, Josh constantly berated her. She even mentioned jokingly saying she didn't want him to end the stream, as it was her only connection to the outside world. Josh repeatedly raped her during the night and at one point attempted to choke her with a pillow before later playing it off as a joke. They proceeded to stream together the following day, and knowing what we know now, you can definitely tell the vibe is just off.
Is she alive? Yes. Can you confirm that you're alive still?
I'm alive.
There you go. She's just pissed off.
Josh is such a good friend.
Please don't say it like that.
He's like a brother to me.
Stop speaking. If you carry on, you will regret it.
So is she the anal or you thought she'd be Papa Josh?
No. Well, probably just not for me.
Josh, tapeworms can be spread via saliva and anal intercourse. You should have yourself tested immediately.
He tried.
What do you mean I tried? Yeah, I said, do you want to sleep with me? And you said no. I didn't try any weird shit. Just played League.
Tillion
It's so fucking disgusting. You break off a section. I don't want to touch. Mellow's the best girl. Yeah, I agree. Mellow's the best girl. You were under the desk, so I think there was trash under the desk. Also, before you leave, can you wash out the water bottle that you drank from? I don't want to accidentally drink from your water bottle.
Can you shut the f up? I am sick to death of you being a little piece of shit to me. Stop it.
And if you're wondering why Louise didn't sound the alarm there and then, telling the stream exactly what had happened to her during the night. As she stated in her tweet, she admitted to feeling extremely shameful, questioning herself on why she had allowed Josh to do that to her. I didn't want people to know. I didn't want people to think that I had slept with him, that I was a slut and sleeping my way to the top. So Louise finally leaves feeling horrible and opens up to a friend about what had happened. A couple of days later, she attempts a normal stream, but as people flood in asking what happened between the two, she breaks down crying.
I don't want to. This is the last I'm going to talk about it, okay? I don't want to hear anything else about it. Mods, dude, you don't have to time anyone out who talks about Josh. I'm just going to ignore them. I'm not going to talk about it anymore from now on. Okay. I don't want to see him. I don't want to see pictures of him. I don't want to see clips of him. I don't want to hear his voice, okay? So... Sorry. And... hell. Okay.
Louise decides to report the rape to the police, but the investigation was later dropped due to lack of evidence. But it resulted in Josh receiving a lifetime ban from Twitch and his channel being terminated. Josh also apparently reached out to Louise afterwards. He reached out to me recently saying that I need to come clean about being a liar, that he wants to kill himself and he's terrified every time someone knocks on his door. He told me he doesn't want to ruin my life over this, he just wants me to come clean. And I still don't know to this day if he truly knows that what he did was wrong. This tweet by Louise, as well as the overall Me Too movement that was currently happening in the streaming world, prompted several other girls to do the same, releasing statements about what Josh had put them through. And when I say girls, I literally mean girls. Children. There's multiple accounts of sexual harassment and DMs like these sent out to 13 and 14-year-old girls. This prompted the esports organization Method, whom Josh was a part of, to kick him from the squad. And the organization's CEO and founder Scott McMillan, who goes by Sco, received massive backlash. The reason for the backlash they received stemmed from a series of actions to brush over what Josh was actively doing to underage girls online. As Scott himself describes, they received an anonymous email in early 2019 informing the organization of Josh's abhorrent behavior. And a month later, this article was published on Kotaku.com, also describing his weird and questionable borderline illegal behavior. Josh was apparently given several warnings but was still allowed to keep playing for the organization. No further disciplinary actions were taken. 6 months later, when the incident with Louise had taken place, Josh himself told management of the active police investigation against him. The organization believed Josh, who insisted the victim was lying. No actions were taken. In April of 2020, Josh provided proof that the investigation had ended, and subsequently, the organization even went out of their way to try to get his Twitch account reinstated, aka lifting the ban. However, this was declined from Twitch's side. During this time, Josh continued to play with the org, but as he was banned from Twitch, he wasn't allowed to be heard on other players' stream either.
Oh yeah, like I said, I don't think it'll ever go that far, but it's more just what he was saying was in terms of the police investigation. He said
Josh. Mute him.
Fuck me, dude.
Come June 24th in Louise's tweet, Sco states there was no longer room for doubt. We had finally seen the full depth of his depravity. No excuses or justifications could be made for Josh's behavior, and we terminated him within the hour. But the damage was already done, and Method's brand was extremely tarnished. As this tweet from Slap Spaghetti reads, shame on the people who hid this about Josh back in January 2019, shame on you. Shame on everyone who made excuses for him. Shame on everyone who tried to keep things silent. You're the worst type of people. People in Method knew. And Kat's tweet, which actually is the same whistleblower from the Kotaku article, Caroline. What I am most mad about, however, is Method knowing long ago of his abuse and pedophilic tendencies. Needless to say, this obviously left the company in shambles, with the majority of its members leaving the organization. So Josh and several others were kicked from the organization, and others left voluntarily in solidarity with the victims. Some time passed, and Josh has completely disappeared from the internet. Method has slowly began rebuilding their reputation this time with much stricter oversight. The organization implemented a clear code of conduct as well as firm behavioral guidelines designed to prevent anything similar from happening again. And more importantly, the victims of his abuse had began to heal. However, people were still speculating of what Josh was up to after his cancellation, and there were extremely limited information out there. Until this, an investigation from BuzzFeed of all news sources discovered that Josh, hiding behind a pseudonym, had been hired at an NFT startup company by the name of Gem. But he wasn't just hired as another employee, Josh was apparently one of the co-founders of the company. In a since-deleted video, Josh even appears in an interview with other Gem co-founders under the name Nesso, and this very professional profile picture.
So for most people, we imagine that just a simple front end is the way they'll interact with us. We think that the main problem, not the main problem, but a existing problem is that NFT data and these marketplaces, you don't want 10 tabs open, right? Like the data on Anson's great, the data on Rarity Tools is great, and there's like
And then that's the purpose of the Me Too movement, right? Which was to make public these things that were previously private to essentially warn people against them or, hold people accountable for their actions. Much information you
and
ideally
that's
you log onto those
not a great
media
user
profiles
experience.
and so on.
We want to aggregate all that into one front end.
So you
You
want
go
the
there,
maximum
you see it.
Josh kept his webcam off the entire time, but judging on his voice alone, it's definitely him hiding behind the profile picture. Some of Gem's other core staff also went by pseudonyms or nicknames, which was a common practice within the NFT space. But this guy Hernandez, for example, who uses the name Vasa, is nevertheless discoverable on both X and LinkedIn under his real identity, but Josh was obviously not. And despite his professional pseudonymity, Josh is named in a business document filed in Singapore, where Gem was incorporated. It is, however, entirely possible, as stated in the article, that because the name Josh Thompson was rarely used in connection with MethodJosh, Gem's leaders may not have made the connection. Following the article, Gem's co-founder and largest shareholder Lawrence Hukulak announced that Josh, or Nesso, had been fired from the company. And just a couple of days later, Gem was acquired by OpenSea for an undisclosed amount of money, and we can only hope Josh didn't receive a dime from the acquisition. And that closes the chapter on Josh Thompson. There hasn't been any update on him since 2022, and his current living and work situation is widely unknown. My best guess is that he's probably still rotting away at his computer, afraid to leave his apartment, and that's it. Subscribe if you enjoyed the video. A lot more exciting stuff coming, I promise.
Josh, I want to f*** your sister. I just said me too. I was like, yeah, me too.